Katy, Winge, and Chris Dempsey here for Altitude TV, giving you guys more of an in-depth insight into what just happened with this Denver Nuggets team and some of the new players that we will see in uniform here very shortly. Before we get into it, let's just go over the trade that took place. Denver Nuggets acquired JaVale McGee from the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they send Isaiah Hartenstein to Cleveland along with 2 future second rounders. And then they also made a deal with the Orlando Magic to get Aaron Gordon and Gary Clark. They sent Gary Harris and RJ Hampton and a first-round pick in order to make that one happen. So, Dems, let's just get into these 2 players and where you think they are going to fit with this current Denver Nuggets team. And I'll start with Aaron Gordon because obviously that's a really big name for the Nuggets to get. And there are kind of a lot of questions about where he'll fit, how he'll fit with this Denver Nuggets team. What aspects of his game are you most excited to see him implement as a Denver Nugget?
I think for me, it's got to be the defense on the perimeter. I mean, you're talking about 6'9" with a long wingspan. So, no matter what happens on the perimeter, he is able to handle himself, whether it's a switching situation. You can switch on to anybody that's smaller. He's a very athletic, good lateral quickness. Can stay in front of the ball handler, and then a big guy, physical. I mean, I think if you've seen him in the last few years, I mean, he is a chiseled human being. So I mean, he's not going to back down in a physical form from anybody. And so for me, I love the physical. I love the defense that he's going to be able to bring. I know that the Nuggets missed. The management misses Jeremy Grant and what he brought, and his ability to guard a Kawhi Leonard and switch onto this other guy and do all those things. And so I think that Aaron Gordon is going to be able to give the Nuggets an opportunity to recreate that. So for me, that's the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to seeing from him, because I think he's a really good and maybe even underrated to a certain degree defender.
So you talked about this in kind of our last video a little bit, but do you see him starting? Do you see him coming off the bench? Do you see him playing a small forward, a power forward? Like, I know the Nuggets are one of the most positionless teams in basketball. I mean, Nikola Jokic plays point guard at times, for goodness sakes. But like, what units do you see him playing his most time with, and where do you see him fitting in there?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think for me, if you look at it linearly, which obviously there's not a lot of linear stuff happening. Not on 99 basis. I mean, listen, center is going to be linear. The point guard from Jamal to Monte Morris is linear. So I mean, it happens, but it also doesn't happen. And so the question is if he plays the power forward, then you have 3. And obviously Paul Millsap is the starter right now. JaMychal Green is the reserve, and then you would put Aaron Gordon into that mix. And so how does he fit? Who somebody would not play in that mix. And so, or do you, in a linear sense, put him at the 3, which they really don't have a reserve 3 per se behind Michael Porter Jr. And so you could do that and then keep the integrity of all the other positions. And then within that, mix and match the combinations on the court, which is what I would think they would do, because I don't know that they're ready to nix Paul Millsap or JaMychal Green from everyday play. I don't know why you would do that, but maybe I don't know. These are things that we're going to see play out on a basketball court. But from a linear fashion, I might even slot him at the 3 and just say, okay, let's just do that. And then if we slide you to the 4 in some lineups, or if we, you can mix and match that way. So, Katy, I would love your feedback on this too. I don't know. It'll be very, very interesting, because Aaron Gordon has played both and almost split time almost evenly. If you look at over the course of his entire career, the 3 and the 4, he can play either single one of them. And at the 3 this season, he proved to be a better offensive player at that position than he was at the 4. So many pros and cons, so many things to think about.
Yeah, and I think too, obviously with Gary Harris going to Orlando in this trade, I mean, who's your 2? Will Barton now, is he the 2? Do you slide Michael Porter Jr. to the 3? And he has been playing some power forward too and some stretch 4, and that's been really effective for the Nuggets offense. So then do you slide Aaron Gordon in the 3 there and kind of just have those 2 be interchangeable in terms of the 3-4, have Paul Millsap come off the bench, but then you could also have Will Barton come off the bench, and Michael Porter Jr. could even be a shooting guard at times. You could start Monte, have Jamal be the 2. There are endless combinations. I think you're spot on. Like, over this next stretch of probably 15 games-ish, I expect we're going to see a lot of different rotations, a good mix of starting lineups. I mean, especially once Monte Morris gets healthy too. I'm excited though. I really am to see Aaron Gordon. I'm excited to see the way he plays with Nikola Jokic, the way he cuts off of him. Even like playing that dunker spot with him. I'm pumped about that. But I'm also like, if he comes off the bench, Facu in the pick and roll with him, I think that could be really fun, and throwing lobs up because we all know he can dunk. So is it just going to be like throw down city here now within that second unit? I think there are a lot of really exciting things to look forward to. Before we wrap this up, let's talk JaVale McGee just for a second. Give me first and foremost, he's been here before. So what do Nuggets fans remember about him? And then what do you think is different about him now?
Yeah. So
other than 3 rings.
I know he's a world champion 3 times over. Wow. So JaVale, when he first came around, just the athleticism jumped off the page, and I pun intended, because like jumped off the page with this guy. And the shot blocking was immense. The dive downhill, get downhill and pick and roll, lob pass to the dunk was immense. And so I think those things will be recreated pretty easily here with the Nuggets. And so I love it because he's a guy who can block shots. We needed a rim protector. The Nuggets needed a rim protector. And so he's going to be able to do that. And it really does solve, I was just talking about linear stuff. I mean, that's the center position is what it is. Nikola Jokic, JaVale McGee. And I think, it's been good for him to have spent time with Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green and LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and just been able to soak in the winning, soak in the leadership and all that. And he's matured a ton. There's stories, certainly our producer was telling us earlier about what's happened with him in Cleveland and how much of a leader he's been with the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I'm looking forward to getting that JaVale McGee here. And I know the Nuggets certainly want everything that he can provide on a basketball court.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing him back in a Denver Nuggets uniform for sure. I know probably Nuggets Nation is thinking that way as well. And I do just want to say one more thing too, as we wrap this up on Aaron Gordon. It was very important to me seeing some of the news coming out about this, that he wanted to be in Denver, especially after the game that was recently played against the Magic. And, the first half at least was pure domination from the Nuggets. But to hear that was a culture and an offense and a defense and a franchise that he wanted to be a part of, that I think that means a lot. And for as close of knit group as this Denver Nuggets team is, to come in and say, hey, I'm going to be willing to do whatever it takes to win. Both of these guys coming in with that type of mentality, I think is going to be huge for Denver. So looking forward to seeing both of these guys in the Mile High City very, very soon. For Chris Dempsey, I'm Katy Winge. Let's see what this new Nuggets team looks like.